The detention cell reeked of ozone and burnt metal. Kara Venn hung suspended in the neural restraint field, her body trembling as waves of agony coursed through her nervous system. The Vorkai interrogators had been at it for hours, their chittering voices echoing off the crystalline walls as they demanded information she didn't possess. Through the observation window, Ravthar watched with eyes that had witnessed 1,000 such scenes. The creature was massive, nearly 3 meters of corded muscle and armored hide, bred specifically by the Vorkai Empire as a war beast. Its kind had no names in their own tongue, only designations. But the humans it had encountered before dying had called creatures like it demons, and Ravthar had learned to answer to the name its current masters used. The beast had seen countless species broken in these cells. It had been conditioned since birth to feel nothing, to serve without question, to kill without hesitation. But something was different about the human girl. Kara screamed as another neural pulse tore through her. The Vorkai lead interrogator Zekron increased the intensity. "Your fleet's coordinates, human. Give them and this ends." "I told you," Kara gasped between ragged breaths. "I'm just a civilian transport pilot. I don't know any fleet positions." It was the truth. She had been captured during a routine supply run to the colony on Theta 7. Wrong place, wrong time. But the Vorkai didn't believe in coincidences. Not when humanity had been systematically dismantling their outlying territories for the past 6 months. Ravthar's claws scraped against the observation window. Something ancient stirred in its chest, something the conditioning hadn't quite managed to erase. The beast had been captured from its homeworld as a juvenile, its memories of freedom reduced to fragmentary dreams. But watching Kara's defiance, seeing her refuse to break despite overwhelming pain, awakened something primal. The interrogation continued. 15 minutes crawled by like hours. Kara's screams became hoarse whispers, but still she gave them nothing. Blood trickled from her nose, her neural pathways beginning to hemorrhage under the assault. Then Zekron made his mistake. Increase to terminal levels. The interrogator ordered his assistant. "If she won't talk, she's worthless. Make an example of her." The assistant hesitated. "Commander, terminal levels could do it!" As the neural field began to spike toward lethal intensity, Ravthar felt something snap inside its mind. The conditioning, the programming, the years of obedience, all of it shattered like brittle glass. The beast suddenly understood what it had been watching all these years. Not interrogations, not necessary intelligence gathering, torture, cruelty, evil. And for the first time in its enslaved existence, Ravthar made a choice. The observation window exploded inward as 600 kilograms of enraged alien warbeast crashed through the reinforced crystal. Ravthar's roar shook the detention level, a sound of pure fury that had never been heard within these walls. Zekron spun around, his compound eyes widening in shock. "Ravthar, stand down!" "That's a direct..." The interrogator's words ended in a wet crunch as Ravthar's jaws closed around his thorax. The beast shook once violently and Zekron's body separated into twitching pieces. The assistant scrambled for the alarm, but Ravthar was faster. One massive claw swept across the control panel, simultaneously destroying the alarm system and shutting down the neural restraint field. Kara collapsed to the floor, gasping. Through blurred vision, she watched the impossible scene unfold. The alien beast, the same creature she'd seen standing guard during her capture, silent and obedient, was systematically destroying everything in the room. Ravthar's rampage didn't stop at the interrogation chamber. The beast's roar echoed through the corridor, and then all hell truly broke loose. Guards responded to the commotion, plasma rifles raised. They found their own war beast blocking the corridor, covered in purple Vorkai blood, protecting the fallen human girl behind it. The first volley of plasma bolts splashed harmlessly against Ravthar's armored hide. Another gift from its makers now turned against them. The beast charged. Vorkai soldiers scattered, but not quickly enough. Ravthar had been trained to fight enemy soldiers, and the Vorkai had done their job too well. Every combat instinct, every lethal technique, every ounce of its considerable strength now served a new purpose: freedom. Alarms shrieked throughout the facility. Bulkheads began to seal, but Ravthar tore through them like paper. Behind it, Kara stumbled to her feet, using the wall for support. The beast kept glancing back, ensuring she followed, clearing a path of absolute destruction. They reached the hangar bay where Kara's captured transport ship sat among other impounded vessels. Ravthar didn't hesitate. It bounded across the bay, smashing through a squadron of response troops and positioned itself at the transport's ramp. Kara limped toward the ship, her mind reeling. "Why?" she whispered, looking up at the massive creature that had become her unlikely savior. "Why help me?" Ravthar couldn't answer in words, but its eyes, ancient, intelligent eyes that had seen too much suffering, met hers with understanding. In that moment, Kara realized the truth. This wasn't just a beast. It was a person, a prisoner, a soul that had finally remembered what it meant to choose. She climbed into the pilot's seat, her hands shaking as she initiated the launch sequence. Ravthar remained at the ramp, holding off the gathering Vorkai forces with savage efficiency. "Come on," Kara shouted. "Get in!" The beast hesitated. Then, with a final roar of defiance that seemed to shake the entire station, Ravthar leaped aboard. The ramp sealed behind it as the transport's engines screamed to life. They burst from the hangar into the black of space, pursued by fighter craft. But Caravan hadn't survived 3 years on the frontier by luck alone. Her hands danced across the controls, coaxing impossible maneuvers from her battered ship. Behind her, Ravthar braced itself against the bulkhead, experiencing something it had never known in its tortured existence: hope. As they jumped to hyperspace, leaving the Vorkai station far behind, Kara set a course for human space. She glanced back at the massive creature that had saved her life, that had chosen her freedom over its own conditioning. "We're going to find your world," she promised. "Whatever it takes, we're going to find where you came from and take you home." Ravthar's rumbling growl softened into something that almost sounded like gratitude. 15 minutes. That's all it had taken for everything to change. 15 minutes for one act of cruelty to break years of conditioning. 15 minutes for a beast to remember it was more than what its masters had made it. And in those 15 minutes, the Vorkai Empire had learned a lesson humanity had been teaching the galaxy since they first reached the stars. Underestimate compassion at your peril, for it is the most dangerous force in the universe.